Welcome to another episode of This Woman Works. I am your host, Mike Patton, and on this episode, we will be talking to someone that is dynamic in the things that she does. That would be Miss Amiee Sadler. How you doing, Amiee?
I am fantastic. How are you this morning?
I am doing great, doing great. Now, we're going to get into your story and your journey to where you are and what all that you're doing in one moment. But before we get into that on This Woman Works, we always have the Black Girl Magic Moment. And on this episode, we're going to be talking about Miss Pam Oliver. Now, Pam Oliver, for those that don't know, is a Fox sideline reporter. But we also got to go back and give you the history of Miss Pam Oliver. Now, she was born in Dallas, Texas. She is 63 years old, which, look at her. You would be amazed that she's even 63 years old. I was shocked when I actually read that she was 63 years old. I couldn't believe it. But anyway, she was born in Dallas, Texas, starting her broadcast career in 1985 at a station in Albany, Georgia. She actually was a news reporter at that time. So she would go from there to Huntsville, Alabama in 1980. She started in 1985, by the way. 1986, she goes to Huntsville, Alabama. Then 2 years there, she goes to Buffalo, New York. Then she goes back to Florida. She goes to Florida, and that's where she started her career as a sports anchor in 1991. Of course, from there, she moves to Houston, sports anchor still. And in 1993, she joined ESPN. And then 1995, she left ESPN to go to Fox, where she was the Fox reporter with Pat Summerall and John Madden. For those that don't know football, those are the two of the greatest, one of the greatest pairing of announcers of all time in NFL football history. Just put it that way. And she was a part of that. And of course, she was a very prominent black face on the sideline, one of the only black faces on the sideline. Before you saw the Christina Pinks and the Lisa Salters and things like that, you saw Pam Oliver. So Pam Oliver was it pretty much. She would also do, of course, TNT sideline reporting for the NBA playoff coverage. In 2005, she did that. She did that all the way until 2009. And then also, I think I do have to mention July 14, 2004. Now, this wasn't a great moment in Pam's career. Well, she was actually relegated to the number 2 team in favor of Erin Andrews. Erin Andrews came over to join Fox from ESPN and became the number 1 sideline reporter. A lot of people did not like it. And I'm pretty sure Pam probably had some thoughts about it, but she still soldiered on. She still did her job. And to me, showing the grace and still doing her job, despite, the things that happened against her in that aspect, I got to show much respect to Miss Pam Oliver. I got a Black Girl Magic moment. Pam Oliver, I salute you for all the great and wonderful things that you've done. If there was no you, there would be no Christina Pinks, probably. There may not be a Lisa Salters. There's a lot of other different black women on the sideline that we may not see if it was not for you. The Black Girl Magic moment, Miss Pam Oliver. Amiee, do you have anything you want to add?
It's amazing how we find people who are doing the thing, right? Like, how many black women before her wanted to do it and just never saw anyone like them doing it. And now, because of her, like you listed the names, like people can't be who they can't see. Pam opened so many doors for so many women. And I'm not even sure like she knew she was doing that when she did it. So it makes my heart happy. And also proof that black does not in fact correct.
Yes, definitely. Yes. Again, she's 63 years old. And I failed to see where she is 63 years old. I mean, that's all I can say. But we're gonna move on to the show and move on to the rest of the show, I should say. And we're gonna talk about you, Amiee. We're gonna talk about you.
My favorite
Um,
topic.
all right. Well, we're gonna start all the way back to young you, young Amiee. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in North Nashville. The house
Okay.
I grew up in no longer exists. The flood of 2010 took it out. But grew up in North Nashville, went to the Northwest YMCA. Um,
Hmm.
just North Nashville is who I am.
Okay. All right. My parents actually grew up in North Nashville off of 23rd.
Very
23rd and
cool.
Buchanan. Yeah. So
Very
actually
cool.
my mom 23rd, my dad Buchanan Street.
Okay.
So yeah.
Very cool. My parents grew up in East Nashville. Um,
Hmm.
and then went to college in different places, and then came back, and the house they bought together was on Creekwood Circle,
Hmm.
over back behind Timothy Park. And then when
Hmm.
my mom sold that house, we moved to Ashland City Highway, that area. So all North Nashville.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely, definitely. So I gotta ask, at the time you were growing up in North Nashville, what was the vibe? How was it growing up in North Nashville? Because I know in North Nashville there was always pride about growing up in North Nashville for sure.
I cannot imagine growing up anywhere else. Like, it was super cool. Like, you see the kids on TV, like everyone runs outside and they are playing together and everything. Like, that's what we did. And it was like every day somebody else's house was like the house of the day. So around noon we would like run in and have lunch at whoever's house, come back out and play. We rode the bus together. I went to private school for the first couple of years, so I was kind of separate from everyone else. But then once I transitioned back to public school, it was like nothing ever changed. Like, the vibe of school, everybody's parents were everybody's parents. The violence that people tend to think of when they think of North Nashville now, I never saw. The joke would always be to get out of Dodge, but I didn't actually understand that Dodge City was a real place. So, now as an adult, I'm like, um, I don't know if I'm supposed to be here, but I'm gonna be here and hope for the best. But like, it was just cool. Like, I didn't think it was one of those things. Like, I never thought there was anything wrong with being where I was because I didn't see anything wrong.
Right. Well, there absolutely was nothing wrong with growing up. 37208, for those that aren't aware, is the zip code of North Nashville. Now, many associated with being one of the high crime areas in the nation, but I associated with blackness, associated with togetherness, associated with a lot of great and wonderful things, and not the bad things that people want to mention it for and just know it for. Some people, I should say.
Well, another part of North Nashville is you have the quote unquote high crime, but you also have like the greatest like gathering of like the elite black families. So both of my parents were judges. Um,
Hmm.
but we were judges, doctors, attorneys. The lady who lived next to us at the second house like owned like 7 McDonald's. Like,
Hmm.
North Nashville is the greatest confluence of like the highest of the high and sometimes the lowest of the underserved, like all in one spot. Super, like, but it was amazing growing up because like you didn't know. And if you
Hmm.
didn't, like, your parents might have known, but like personally, I was like, oh, this is cool. It's my people.
Right. Right. Exactly. Exactly. So growing up, you mentioned your parents were judges, but what was the first thing that you thought of growing up and like, hey, I want to be that when I get older?
I think the first thing, because we have evidence of this from preschool, but the first thing I wanted to be was an attorney, because it was what I knew. And then
Mhm.
a little bit after that, I decided I wanted to be a teacher. My grandmother taught at TSU, and she was also a nurse. She did not want me to be a teacher. She thought it would be like the waste of my skills. And then I joked to everyone. I was like maybe 11 or 12 the first time I saw RuPaul. And then I said I wanted to
Mhm.
grow up to be a drag queen. And my parents had to explain to me that that's not exactly how that worked. Um, but it was like, you see all these things. I'm like, oh my God, she's gorgeous. I want to be her. And my mom was like, let's talk about that. Let's
Uh-huh.
backtrack on that a little bit.
Uh-huh. Got you, got you, got you. Well, you didn't quite grow up to be any of those things, but you did grow up to do something that is very, very impactful. We're going to talk about what that is right after this commercial break on This Woman Works.
EBO Beard Butter and EBO Beard Wash are two of the best beard grooming products for men worldwide. They help promote growth, keep your beard moisturized and soft, and enhance your overall upkeep of your facial hair. And with the new promo code MPAFC10, you can get 10% off of these products. Just go to www.etsy.com/shop/EBO Beard Butter. Again, that's www.etsy.com/shop/EBO Beard Butter. And again, the promo code MPAFC10. Again, MPAFC10, where you can get 10% off any products except for beard boxes. So treat your beard better today by going to get these the EBO Beard Butter and EBO Beard Wash.
All right, and we are back on This Woman Works with Miss Amiee Sadler. I want to mention as well that, like I mentioned before the break, we're going to talk about where her career actually ended up going. Now, if you want to, can you tell everyone what you're doing now?
So I did not end up being any of those things specifically, but I am a social worker, have my master's in social work and organizational leadership, and a certificate in forensic social work, which is where the law part comes in. I'm currently a clinical therapist. I do DEI and nonprofit training. And as of last week, I was announced as the new executive director of Miriam's Promise, which is an adoption and placement agency here in Nashville. So never those specific things, but kind of those things. And also in a past life, I performed. It's basically a woman assigned female at birth who does drag, so a diva. So I kind of ended up being a drag queen too. I kind of did all the things.
Okay, all right, all right. So it sounds like you have kind of touched every kind of little thing you want to do, except for a teacher in some aspects.
Well, like in the training part. So I started my collegiate career as an elementary education major and realized very quickly I love children. I care about them deeply. I cannot teach them. Student teaching almost took me out and took away my freedom. Because those kids get in your face, you have to remember you can't get back in their face. So like that aspect of teaching just wasn't gonna do it for me.
Got you. So, with all the things that you currently do, when did that interest kind of first fester or come about for you to kind of go in the avenues that you have?
I think it came in high school. I came out as a member of the LGBTQIA community, and it didn't go over well. This is back in early 2000 before people were more accepting. And I had some really ugly things said to me and about me. And when I went to the administration of the school, they were like, "We'll handle it," and it never really got handled. And from there, I was like, "Well, this is happening to me. It's happening to other people too." And so I started the Gay Straight Alliance. That year, I also became the first student school board member for Metro Nashville Public Schools. Another student and I petitioned the board saying, "You're making decisions about us without us, and how is that fair?" And so we were the first student school board members for the school board. And that passion for advocacy just kind of stayed. I left and went to Memphis for my first year of college, had some dangerous experiences, came back, had my daughter. And then there was this window of about 13, 14 years where I didn't really do much of anything. Like I would start school and have to stop for various reasons. But then like 2017-ish, I enrolled at Columbia State in Columbia and have been in school ever since. Went from no degrees to now working on my second master's. So it was just, I needed the right I needed the right support and I needed
Mhm.
the right environment. And so I went from sleeping in my car taking exams to now I'm the ED of a nonprofit in less than 5 years, and it just like blows my mind.
Wow, that is an outstanding journey for you. I have to commend you for the effort and the I would say the stick to itiveness as well to make that happen. Now, of course, with all the dreams and aspirations and the things that you've done, what was it like kind of just jumping into that? I mean, what was the first feeling? You know, you said you kind of get in and out of, school for various reasons, but you finally stuck to it with the Columbia State, went from there. What was that first kind of feeling? Okay, I'm here, I'm sticking with it this time. What was that feeling like, kind of matriculating through and being there and seeing the improvements and seeing the grades and seeing things stack up for you in the right way?
It was overwhelming and it was very scary because I wasn't sure I could do it. Like I didn't believe in me. Other people believed in me, but at that point, I lacked like I lacked the self confidence that was needed to make this work. And so I had to draw on the strength of others. My daughter started high school right around the time was just getting into my associate's program, and I was like, I have to do this before she graduates from high school. Like that is
Mhm.
a thing. This has to be a thing. And so I wanted to show her that, where you come from isn't where you have to stay. If you've made a mistake, that's okay. You can get back up and do it again. I have stepdaughters who graduated from high school the same year I graduated from my associate's program. And like I did it for them. We had homework parties. When it was hard, I would call them and be like, hey, I need someone to do homework with me. And we would stay up and like do homework together. It started scary. And then I realized that everything in life is scary. So you got to do it scared. Um, so it took a minute for it to feel exciting. But once I
Mhm.
got to that exciting piece, you can tell me nothing. Like I was involved in everything. I'm like, we're supposed to take 4 classes. I'm taking 6. Like, I'm like, this is amazing. I love this. I love how this feels. And that was I think it was evident to the people around me. I had a lot of leadership positions. So I'm working full time. I'm a full time parent. I'm a band mom. And then I'm also president of 2 honor societies and like all the things at once. And I was like, you got to do it. Like the time is going to pass regardless. Might as well have something to show for it at the end.
Right, right. It sounds like you went all in, which is great. And what's that one moment, doing DEI teachings and being a clinical therapist and doing, an executive director? What is that one moment where you're just like, I'm where I'm supposed to be? I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
It's so crazy you asked that. So in the interview for the executive director position, I was sitting there and like I just had that flash, like everything in my life up until this point was designed to get me to this point. Working with, expectant parents, and especially in the state of Tennessee, like you don't have the same options you had before. But my experience with having parents who were in the legal system, with the forensic social work, with my own experiences with pregnancy, were like, here's this. The aspect of the mental health piece of it, being a therapist, having to talk to this wide variety of people, taking all of these classes, and I'm like, I'll never need this. I don't understand why I'm doing this. Like everything just, it was like that moment of, oh, like everything just came together. In the press release for the announcement, the chair of our board said everything in her career led her to this point, and like it could not be more true. Um, I managed a cell phone store at one point, and it was a horrible experience, but it taught me how to deal with difficult people. Right. So like
Mhm.
it's all of those, like in reflection, it's like as much as I hated it then, I'm so thankful for it now.
Got you. And what would you say is I think you kind of touched on it, but what would you say is the most fulfilling part of what you do?
Um, the light bulb moment for other people, especially in the DEI training space. I
Mhm.
have a lot of conversations that when I'm talking to people who look like me, it's the head nod, the acknowledgement that gives me joy. But the other piece of that is when people who don't look like me have that moment of, I didn't even realize this was a thing. right? I talk about microaggressions a lot in my DEI work, and I'm like, telling a person of color that they're so articulate is not the compliment you think it is. And you can see the faces kind of register like, that is a compliment. That's a good thing. And I'm like, the unsaid part of that, especially to those of us who are on the receiving end of it, is you're much more articulate than I thought you were going to be.
Yeah, you basically thought I was dumb.
Right.
Yeah.
You thought I was going to come in here speaking Ebonics or, very heavily AAVE and, all these other things. And now that I speak like you would assume a, adult educated person speaks, you're shocked and blown away. But like that moment of recognition, like, I might have messed up. Like, it's one of those things that makes me happy that they've had the moment, but it also kind of makes me sad that it took so long for the moment to happen. But like, maybe from that point on, they won't say the same thing again. Fingers crossed.
Oh, well, hey, we can all cross our fingers. What we also can do is talk about the setbacks and things like that potentially happen in this type of work. But we're going to get into that right after this commercial break on This Woman Works.
Perfect.
A shift. A shift is something that happens and changes the dynamics. And that's what happened when Garrett Logistics was born. After 10 years as a sales pro in the logistics world of sporting goods, John Garrett decided to pivot to the world of freight and start a brokerage. So you're saying to yourself, why trust Garrett Logistics? Well, Garrett Logistics helps shippers improve overall workflow, along with increased on-time pickup and delivery percentages. Last-minute loads, multi-drop pickups, and more are part of the services with Garrett Logistics. They're available Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., all times Central Standard Time. So give them a ring at 615-400-8484. That's 615-400-8484, or you can email them at john@garrettlogistics.co or visit their website at garrettlogistics.co. Garrett Logistics, where the motto is, it's not just freight to us, it's your business.
All right, and we are back on This Woman Works with Amiee Sadler. Now, like I mentioned before the commercial break, there's sunshine, but there's always some rain. Now, the rain can be also a metaphor for something that can be great and kind of, cleansing and things like that. But it also, in some aspects, is used as doom and gloom, unfortunately. Now, I've got to ask, what was one of the biggest setbacks you've had to overcome in your career, in your journey?
I think one of the biggest setbacks actually ended up being the greatest step up. But there was a company that I worked for that started my DEI career. Was really close with the owner of the company, and we parted ways very unexpectedly. And because of the way we parted ways, I was kind of blocked into what I was able to do. There were clauses in my separation agreement that meant I couldn't do the work I had been doing for a period of time. And so I had to figure out how I could still be impactful without doing it the way I had been doing it. And it was hard because so much of my career at that point, and then a lot of my just own personal beliefs were so rooted in that one piece of my identity, that one job, that one career. When it ended, I was lost. I didn't know what was going to be next. I was still in school, so there was always that aspect of it. But this is what I know how to do. This is what I'm really good at, and I can't do it right now. And so I had to figure out what that meant for me. What was I going to do next? What was I going to do to buy the time before I could do what I was passionate about again? And it was very scary, and it was very dark. I was very depressed, which is kind of how I shifted into the more clinical side of social work in that moment, because I wanted to know, the healer heal thyself. Like, how can I fix this? And it took a lot of work. It took having, my then 15-year-old daughter say, "Mom, you can't stay here." I was literally in the bed. I didn't want to get out of the bed. It was just dark. She's like, "You got to keep going." And I was like, "Why?" She's like, "Well, one, I have to go to school." But this isn't you. You have just grown and blossomed so much, and I'm losing you. And my kid telling me she was losing me was what I needed to move. And I know everyone doesn't have kids or doesn't have that person to be like, hey, we can't do this. But I was very lucky in the sense that one, my daughter was perceptive enough to see what was happening, and then two, brave enough to say, Mom, we got to do something. But it was scary. It was really scary. And there was a while there that I thought like, this is it for me. Like I'd already won like 40 under 40 and I was doing this and I was like, I've peaked. What do I do now? And it took a little bit of time for me to realize that I hadn't peaked. I had just started. And this was an opportunity to do something different, because had we not parted ways the way that we did, I don't think I ever would have left that company, and I never would have had the opportunities I've had now. So what felt like a huge setback was really like the stepping stone for what has turned into a very beautiful future.
Yeah, they always say, when you step in the darkness, you stepping into the unknown, but you're always stepping in the darkness, potentially leading into the light as well.
Absolutely.
So, one thing I would also ask as well, what's the best bit of advice you've received over your journey?
I have reframed it a little bit, but I frame it as FTP. I can't say the F part because of the setting, but imagine the other word for like forget, but like forget those people or F those people.
I understand.
Yeah, and I use that just because I've heard so many times like other people can't define who you are, and so my version of that is FTP, because I don't care what anyone else thinks. I don't care what anyone else limits me is doing. I had a teacher who was one of my favorite teachers ever. She and I are still really close, but she said, you cannot be defined by what other people think you are. I was working at a job where it was not a great job and people were really not nice to me. And I would come into her class and she was like, I can see the life draining from you. The first day of class, you were bubbly, you were excited, and now you just kind of exist. Don't let those people take that from you. And, I walked in the next day and quit the job. I don't think that's what she meant for me to do. But like, that was my takeaway. Like, oh, I don't do this. For what I'm making, I go work at McDonald's. I did not, thankfully, have to go work at McDonald's. But it was that idea of you can't be limited to other people's perceptions of you. And so now I use FTP for everything. Somebody doesn't like me, I don't care. You don't sign my check. You don't, determine what I'm able to do. So I have it on a mug. I'm probably going to put it on a shirt, but FTP.
There we go. Let's see. Any advice for anyone that may be, trying to do what you do in terms of maybe going back to school or trying to, kind of juggle different areas that they're interested and passionate about?
For those going back to school, especially if you are in the state of Tennessee and you are the age of 25 or older and you do not already have a degree, please, please, please use Tennessee Reconnect. It was a program started a couple years ago, and it's designed for you to be able to do your 2 years of community college for free. It includes books. It's like all of this. It encompasses everything. So you don't have to use financial aid. You don't have to have a Pell Grant. You don't have to have loans. It is for people over the age of 25 to get their associate's degree. Start there. A lot of people are like, I don't want to go to community college, but the programs are designed for people who are working, who are adults, who have been out of school for a while. Start somewhere, right? It doesn't have to be, you immediately roll into TSU and you're in class with, you're in your 30s and your classmates are like 18 and you're like panicky. Like start there, right? And once you finish that 2-year degree, you have so many more opportunities. It's hard. You have to have time management. Find your support system. I say it all the time. If you need me, I'm here. And that goes out to, anybody, anywhere. You can message me on Facebook and we will be instantly best friends. And I will check in on you every couple of weeks. Be like, hey, how's your homework going? What do you need help with? But just start. And for people trying to balance everything, you can't. Some things fall apart. We have this idea that people should be able to do everything at once. That's impossible. There are only 24 hours in a day, and you are only one person. Sometimes on some days you prioritize other things. The next day you prioritize spending time with your kids. Keep a schedule, whether it's on your computer or on a piece of paper, on a board, wherever. But understand that you can't do everything all at once. And that's okay. You're not supposed to.
All right. All right. Well, I definitely got to say I've enjoyed learning about your journey and all the things that have gone along on your journey. It seems like it's definitely been a impactful one, and definitely one that has will probably people listening to this episode will probably impact in a very, very positive way. But of course, I want to get everyone to get to know you a little bit more. And that's where we have the speed round. We finish the show with the speed round. It's 10 questions, random questions. And I'm going to pose those to you. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
All right. Who is your favorite actress?
Viola Davis.
Okay. I've gotten Viola Davis a few times.
She's amazing.
Yes. Yeah. I like her. I like her online presence probably more than I like her movies. I mean, yeah, she definitely does not have it on she definitely is not taking anything from anybody on her online presence. I love that.
No.
Favorite movie?
Love Actually.
Okay. All right. Worst movie?
Oh God. So many. Ooh. That's a hard one. Worst movie. Probably like Jason versus Freddy in space or something. Like I remember seeing it when I was in high school and I was like, what is this? And it's like it stayed with me. It's one of those things like it was like a fever dream. Like why? Why was that a thing? So that's probably worse.
I love those scary movies. I just don't love them the ones when they try to do too much. Yeah.
That's what it was. Like it was why first of all, why are we in outer space? How do we get here? Like Freddy like burned significantly. So like my logical brain is like that wouldn't
yeah.
But
no. Right. Okay. Song you're playing the most right now.
Megan Thought shit.
What's that?
That is Megan Thee Stallion Thought SH. Yeah.
Okay. Got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my morning affirmation song.
Got you. Okay. Who would play you in a biopic?
Ooh, in an ideal world, like somebody like Amiee. But reality, if we're looking at adult me, probably like Queen Latifah, maybe. I don't know.
Okay. All right. Something no one would think about you in terms of maybe like a hidden talent that you have.
I don't have a lot of hidden talents. Like all of my talents are pretty public. Because I don't have a lot of them. I think the thing that people would, it's always surprising when people hear it, but my favorite song ever is Let the Bodies Hit the Floor. And like that is that's my like get hype clean up song. And every time I say that, people are like, what? Like that's my song.
Yeah, no,
I have it.
Got you. One person, dead or alive, you'd love to have dinner with and pick their brain.
Ooh. Zora Neale Hurston.
Okay. All right. Favorite artist?
My daughter. She's a visual artist, but more realistically, I guess. And then I guess I'm thinking musical artist is probably Mariah Carey. Like for all the flack, like she's amazing. And I can listen to her day or night, whatever's happening. And it's almost her season. She's about to defrost. I'm here for it.
That's what I was going to say. It's almost her time now. Let's see. Favorite childhood memory?
Watching a Goofy movie with my dad. It is still like one of my favorite movies. I go to Disney 2 or 3 times a year because I'm so obsessed with all things Disney. But their Power Line is like my homie, and they have Power Line candy. So like watching the Goofy movie with my dad is probably my favorite childhood movie.
All right. And best vacation ever?
Ooh. Disney. I'm truly a Disney adult. Like Disney is my thing. And we recently went no kids. and it was amazing to go to Disney as just an adult without any kid with you, without any teenager. Just go drink around Epcot. If you haven't done it, you should definitely experience it. But like Disney has everything. You want to go to the spa, you can. You want to go to a French restaurant, you can. You want to go get a massage, you can. Like Disney is everything, and like you're still in the U.S., no passport required.
Okay, well, there we go. There we have it. That is 10 questions in the speed round. You're off the hot seat, as they say. Now, I want to thank you for coming on the show and actually allowing everyone to get to know you a little bit more. If you can, tell everyone where they can find you or anything else you would like to say.
Absolutely. So if you're looking for a therapist, you can find me on Psychology Today. Just type in my name and I pop up. If you're looking for just randomly friends on social media, all of my socials are Amiee M. Sadler, AMIEEM SADLER. That's also my email address at gmail.com. So if you need me, reach out. I don't do what I do in my trainings and give you my cell phone number, but like if you DM me on social media, we're okay. We can do that.
All right. And of course, I am the host of the show, Mr. Mike Patton. You can find me on the artist formerly known as Twitter at Mike Patton82. That's MikePatton 82. Now, I say the artist formerly known as Twitter to show props to one of the greatest artists of all time. That would be Prince. Of course, you can find me now on also on Instagram and Threads at that's THA, not THE, _general _MP. And you can find This Woman Works on all listening platforms at Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, you name it, we're there. And we're also on the Mike Patton Network on YouTube, where you can see our smiling faces. All right. I want to thank you all for tuning in to this episode of This Woman Works. We're out. Peace.